So we're all set up on hub dyno here. First thing we're gonna do is just do a two-step check. I want to see how it spools, anything differently. That's what we're really that's one of the things that we're kind of checking out. So we'll do a two-step check, and then might do two of them. It depends on how the first one goes here. We'll see, and then see how it runs, and then we'll start making a couple test pulls here and verify what all is going on. Alrighty, so we just put it on the two-step, and let me get I'm trying to verify our time frame. That looks alright. How long it takes to get up there and what it does. So what I'm looking at here is converter pressures and boost pressures, what's all going on. So just hit the three-step right there, looks like. So what we're listening for too is a two-step and a three-step. So the three-step, don't ask me why they name it that way actually, but the three-step comes before the two-step. So really you'd think it'd be like a one-step, but it's not. So they call it a three-step. So we'll see where that's at. Three-step. Oh no. It had not turned off. Okay. Had not turned off. Also kind of working on tune-up stuff here. So the three-step is on the whole time. Where is that at? Oh, that's all the way up here. And the two-step never came on. So the whole time that it was there, it was on the three-step because it did not hit my three-step criteria to turn it to the two-step. So currently it needs to go to 12 for here. I just wanted to test it at 12 psi on two-step. So two-step rev limiter, 4800 RPM. Two-step boost is two-step target 12 psi. The three-step target is 14 psi. And we go over here, three-step enabled until 14 psi. So it never made 14 psi, so it never was getting there. Okay, but it did get really rich. So let's see here. I think we'll go in. I'll just kind of work on this tune-up still, trying to get this thing to be better and better and better. Started going rich right here at the very end, so it's taking a whole bunch of timing out of it. In fact, it's down to 0 degrees of timing right there. So it's going to start building boost faster, but it also threw probably a little too much fuel at it, and it got unhappy. So right in that range, I need to change my AFR. I'd like to get it back up into something a little leaner here, 4 or 5 or so. So I'm gonna go in there, make a couple changes, and then we'll come back, and we're definitely gonna have to hit it again. In the upcoming video, engine dyno for Raymond Hall. Now this one was a little bit interesting. Big block Chevrolet, methanol, F3136. Ray built this engine using some of our parts himself as a gasoline engine because he was going to make something a lot smaller apparently. And then so what he did is he sent us the long block back, brand new, fresh, never been run, to convert it into a bigger methanol engine. So we'll go over more of that build and all the dyno results on this engine in the upcoming video. And don't forget, Labor Day weekend, I'm going to be at the Bristol 1000 with Cletus and cars. We got the burnout car, racing in the 1000. Super excited. Make sure, if you can be there. Come see us. Love to meet people. I'm always happy to talk to everybody. Alright, that did not go as well as I was hoping. Something changed right there, and I gotta figure out what the heck is going on. It came off of the two-step, or I'm sorry, came off the three-step, and then when it hit the two-step, it actually just slowed down. It just started going backwards. So, see what is happening there. Okay, so like I said, didn't go as I had planned, and so the same came up on two or three step. It was, missing, or like normal. I got two things going on here. The primary thing is all of a sudden, as soon as it built, right here. Let me get rid of this stuff real quick. It built, as soon as it got up in the 7 pounds of boost, which is nothing. I don't think that has anything to do with it. All of a sudden, the engine RPM just started going backwards. The tune-up is looking correct. It continued to build a little bit of boost, but then all my EGTs look correct. I'm almost thinking that there's, well, that's the first thing. I'm wondering if it has done something in the converter that's all of a sudden it's just not right. Unfortunately, the only way we can test that is just by physically testing it. Then the second thing that I see that is going on is that the turbos take off, and then these lines here are the turbo speed sensors. Right here, this is boost. This flat line where it just isn't building boost very fast at all. Just not enough timing, huh? See how the speed sensors here, it actually takes off and then slows down and then takes back off again, and then they run parallel with each other from right here to there, from the start to 1 second in, and then something happens where they get all angry. This one starts out, it like stalls, comes back in way down there. This one stalls, does something, and they both catch up, and then they both take off again. I've seen that now just a few times, so I'm gonna have to start figuring out what's going on there. I'm gonna talk to Hartz and see if there's some kind of issue there, and then I think I'm going to I think I'll probably run this one more time, change my tune up just a little bit and see if it repeats that or what's going on, and then might just end up having to pull that converter. But that's what we test for. I mean, we're gonna test right here and see if it makes it past this, then see if it makes it past going through pulls, and then see if it goes down the track and everything stays intact and is right and correct. I'm gonna change some stuff around in my tune up just a little bit and see if it does that all over again. Alrighty, there it stayed on the rev limiter. So got up there decent. Didn't build any boost. This thing with the turbos dropping and coming back, I don't know what's going on there. Well, I'm gonna have to let we're gonna cool this transmission down, and I'm gonna send this log over, and I'm gonna have to figure this out. But I think I got a little something going on. It stayed up there, so now I don't think it's the converter, because it stayed at the RPM. Came up and same. Let's see if it came up same. Yeah, it came up in the same amount of time. Anyways, I'm gonna call it Hearts. I'm gonna start looking at this thing, and I think we're gonna have to come back and do this again. All right, so if you just that last little hit that we just had there, so not a converter issue. It was just my tune-up issue. Now today is really super humid, so the air water drains is really high, so it's just it's harder for stuff to spool when the air is really bad. And actually, it was really pretty good. So that was from the moment it hit the two-step. It was a little lazy getting to the two-step, about 2.5 seconds. But I think that's just because the air is really bad right now, and it was richer. But it jumped right up, and it was on the 3-step. So let me show you that 3-step. And the 3-step is this red line way up here, and it turns off right here where the engine RPM goes down. So from the moment it hit the limiter right in this area right here, basically 3 seconds, 2.5 to 3 seconds, it was only on the rev limiter for 1.5 seconds before it built full boost, and then it drops down. So then it drops down in engine RPM to what I want my launch RPM to be, and then it just maintains there. So that was all really good, actually. That's probably one of the best. Once it got to the 2-step and then made boost, that was the best time there. I'm going to work a little bit more on getting up to the rev limiter. I'd like it to be quicker than that, like 1.5 seconds or so. And then if it was 1.5 seconds and then 1.5 seconds, boy, that'd only be 3 seconds to full boost where I bump in. Right here, I would have bumped in at 4 seconds, and this probably be a little bit quicker because this is stone cold for the morning. So after burnout, transmission fluid's a little bit higher. So I mean, it's not quite even. It's not even 150 right now. So that's pretty good. I think we got that figured out. So it was all a matter of figuring out the perfect timing of what it wants to be and the perfect amount of fuel once it hits the rev limiter. So I think I'm still rich going to the rev limiter. Once it's on the rev limiter, I think my AFR is correct. So I think we are pretty darn. Let's see, it's still throwing 20 at it all over the place. 4.2. Yeah, so we're pretty darn good right there. So 2-step accomplished. Was not a converter issue going down. It's pretty interesting. This thing goes all the way down to, let's see, 2 degrees of timing to start building boost. And that's good right there, except if it goes to 0 degrees of timing on this particular combination, this engine, and that's what I was dealing with yesterday, when it goes down to 0 degrees of timing to build exhaust temperature. So if you don't understand what's going on there, sorry. If you do understand, I'm just going to explain this real quick. So in order to get the turbos to spool, this is on pretty much any car, lower RPM like what it is, great big turbos, is you need to typically overgeneralize, okay, add some fuel and take a whole bunch of timing out of it, because the less amount of timing you have under the timing the engine needs makes the exhaust very hot. Very hot exhaust flows very fast. Very fast, hot exhaust moves turbos quicker. Okay, so you take timing out of it and add a little bit of fuel, and it makes the turbo spin faster, quicker. Okay, so that's what we've done. So it's just that magic spot, and then, but for some reason, this combination, when it hits 0 degrees of timing, the engine, whether it's making boost or not, just is so unhappy it starts losing engine RPM. But at 2 degrees of timing, it's fine. Kind of weird. So anyways, happy with that. So I think that's actually fixed. I like that. I will work on the getting up to the rev limiter. I'm going to do that. If you want to look at the screen here, I'll do that later. Let's see. Ding. Yeah, so that all looks really good. Good. Yeah. Yeah, so that's all nice. Okay, so all our converter pressures, everything looks real good through there. And we met target, did everything it's supposed to. I'm happy. So I think we're gonna get the dyno all set up, and then we're gonna make a couple pulls and see what kind of power, slippage, everything that the converter's doing. Alrighty, that's pretty good for a first hit. We'll see, should have made probably 40 some odd pounds of boost right there. So we'll take a look at the data, but 30, and actually I think that's on a SAE, everybody uses a STD scale. Not that kind of STD, the correct kind of STD. There you go, it's STD. And a standard correction, it is 3491. We'll look at data here in just a second, but pretty happy with that. There it is. No converter parts hanging out the bottom. That looks good. Let's see, do our cursor. There we go. Yeah, I mean, still climbing. 3491, and our peak torque was 2447. Now let's go over here. We'll look at the data here. Alrighty, pretty darn happy with that. That's actually the most I've ever made on this dyno. I think that is definitely looking pretty good. All the mainline dynos all operate in a standard correction, STD, not a SAE, FYI. See if there's any other little acronyms I can come up with there. Is the acronym when you abbreviate something? Okay, yeah. Okay, so anyways, that is looking pretty good. It made 42 pounds of boost. You found look right there, 42 pounds of boost at 8,900 RPM. So that was 9,000 RPM. 42 pounds of boost. That is right my normal spot that I run this thing at, and that was the drive shaft slippage right there. So the converter slippage was at 105. 105, so 5%, almost 6% slippage. And then given where that's at on hub dyno and how the hub dyno works, it would end up being a little tighter on track, because right there the dyno is hunkered down trying to load it really hard, harder than what the track actually probably does, because that was a 230 mile an hour wheel speed, which is well, yeah, that's a little bit slow. So I would figure at this particular combination at 9,000 RPM going through the traps should be a little closer to in between 235 and 240 mile an hour, probably closer to 240 mile an hour. So I think that the dyno is definitely loaded in harder, and that's actually what we want it to do. Is we want it to do that and to see what the converter is going to do, and I think that is really good. That's nice. I think everything is looking great there. My tune-up, of course, is spot on. I got a little spot right there, but it never runs right there. Any of these areas that are in the 30 pounds of boost range. So my O2 correction right there is 1%, 2%, 1%, basically 1%, 1%. My EGTs Look really nice. 1077, 1122, 1120. Actually, those are really good. And we figured out my EGT problem on my one side. New updated EGT 4 boxes from Fuel Tech. So that fixed that. Yeah, this thing is looking pretty good. So super happy with that. And I don't know if I don't know. Let's put more fuel in it and turn it up. Let's see what it'll do. Alright, so what I'm doing here in between, we're going to add fuel to this thing. And we're going to go ahead and run the exterior transmission cooler to cool the transmission off. Get it back down to a nice normal rate. So what we're doing here is, because the transmission's built of heat, obviously, and we have that whole heat issue all figured out, which is great, which fixed a lot of stuff. Then this prototype converter, which is looking really good. Then so we just want to get it back down to, like to get it down to 100 degrees, which is basically where it was at, a little more than 100 degrees when we made that pull, just so we can get back to a normal setup, not normal, a consistent setup. So we'll turn this on, get a little noisy, and we'll throw some fuel in it. Alrighty, transmission is cooled down. Just turn this off. It's back down to 100. There we go. All right, and then I started thinking, you know what? There's a lot of new people here that might not know exactly what this whole car is all about. So let me tell you. Now, I've had this car on Fuel Tech's dyno. It made 3,200 something at 40 pounds of boost. Little different setup than what it is now. So, and I had made, long story short, I made 2,800 horsepower on this dyno. Drove all the way down to Fuel Tech's dyno, put the exact same tune in it, and made 3,200 horsepower. Don't matter. So I know these numbers are pretty darn close. They just had another one of my SMXs on Fuel Tech's dyno of Ned Dunphy's. They made 3,500 horsepower at 45 pounds of boost on Fuel Tech's dyno. Same exact engine. So let me go over this engine. This is my SMX engine. If you got any questions about SMX engines, lots of videos on this thing all over the place on my website. You can look it up pretty much anywhere. This particular engine is 540 cubic inch, 110 millimeter twin 110 millimeter Hartz turbos on this particular application. So a lot of turbo, makes lots of horsepower, will make lots of boost. At that 42 pounds of boost range right there, that is where this car was going 420s, which would be 630s, 640s in the quarter mile. This car, all steel. Power windows, up and down, cup holders for it. Drives everywhere. We drive this in drag and drive events. So you just saw it made 3,500 horsepower. We just turned boost up. We'll make 50 pounds of boost, which is still a lower boost number for the combination. We will make, ultimately, we will make in the 70 pounds of boost range. Not really going to bother doing it here because I really don't care. Because we'll see what it does at 50 pounds of boost, because that's going to be, I think, my magic number to probably go 14s, 620s, right around there, 235, 240 mile an hour in a quarter. Let's see what else. Oh, did I say what the car weighed? 3,685 is what this car weighs. So 3,700 pounds. Does have obviously the the big tires over there because it's on the hub dyno here. So 36-inch tall tire. If you've seen the rear end that's in this car, go back. This is a good little link. Put the link of the rear end. That's awesome. Lots of history on this car. So if you're interested, there's lots of videos on this car all over the place. But I thought I'd show you guys some new stuff. This is a pretty proven out combination. Been across Fuel Tech's dyno. Other cars have been across Fuel Tech's dyno. Modern Racing's dyno, another one that made 35-ish 100 horsepower at in these low boost ranges. And like I said, low boost at 40. This should make around 50 pounds of boost. We'll see what kind of horsepower it makes, and I think we'll just kind of stop there because we're more interested in what the converter's doing. So the next step will be to go test it at the track and see what we're doing. So far, I'm pretty goddamn happy. You can see here the whole drag and drive part of it, the world's biggest radiator, pretty much. So radiator cooling, oil cooling, transmission cooling. That's still really cool. Just surprising. Yeah, no temperature in the oil yet. But that was the first pull. And so anyways, oh, and drag and drive. So I'll show you right after we probably make this pull, because I'm going to convert it back to gas, regular pump gas. And then I'm going to work on the pump gas tune just a little bit on the dyno. So because we drive it everywhere on pump gas, in fact, we're going to a car show this Saturday in Hastings, Michigan. If you want to go to Hastings, Michigan, Summerfest, this Sunday, we're going to be at a car show of our, not that it's my 40th anniversary, but the 40th anniversary of the auto shop, high school auto shop program that I went through. So if you guys want to go to that, that's kind of cool. Anyways, let's get back to running this thing. Hit the rev limiter right there, and kind of laid over. So kind of laid over. It was making more horsepower. You see the old previous line there on the dyno. So this is the this is the previous mark. So right here, yeah, it was 200 horsepower higher right there, and then it only made the same amount of horsepower because it laid over right here. So let's go see why it laid over. Because it made 200 more foot-pounds of torque. That's a light blue line right through there, light blue line. Let's download our data log and see. I think it should have made, pretty obvious it should have made, so, yeah, I mean, it should have made like 3,800 horsepower. Let's see what she did. And then the other thing I think I'll do is, so, now, like I said, this is the most amount of horsepower we've actually run through this hub dyno. And while this is uploading the log, well, let's look at something here real quick. Okay, we'll see here, because one thing that I do notice, and we'll see why it came up on the rev limiter right there and fell off. Maybe a good possibility, not sure, but if you look at this number right here, so this is the load that it's applying, and as it speeds up, so it's like right there, we're already at 100% loading. Now as it speeds up, the absorbers get more and more efficient, but I'm almost wondering if we started exceeding the absorber, because it can only give it 100%. I mean, 100% is 100%, and if it's not controlling it anymore, so that is maybe a possibility. Let's look at the tune up here, see where we're at. Oh, yeah, it just flat out hit the rev limiter. Of course, must have had just tickled, yeah. So it hit the rev limiter faster. You know what? It's probably, now that I'm thinking about it, it probably is not the dyno. I think I have my rev limiter set at, let's see where it's at. It must be at 9,000. Yes, rev limiter 9,000 RPM. So you know what? It hit the rev limiter. It just hit the rev limiter earlier, and that's why the horsepower goes whoa, because it's on the rev limiter. So, well, I guess I just have to turn it up. All right, let's go 9,500. Which for the engine isn't really that big a deal, but let me think here. So that is 95. Yep. All right. So it was following everything. I'll go back to this to the graph here for you, and you'll be able to see this. Right here, it's on the rev limiter. That's why you see this little, all of a sudden it just goes beep 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 beep, and it just happened to be I let go, or I stopped it right at 9,000 on that first pull. It probably just ticked the rev limiter, and I didn't even notice it and forgot all about it. So what that does is it only made 47 pounds of boost, because as soon as it made 47 pounds of boost, it hit the rev limiter and was unhappy camper. All right, and then so yeah, I think we're gonna have to get that corrected so we can get our correct slippage out of this torque converter, because we were slipping a little bit more right there. So we were at like 107, so a 7% slippage from basically 5.8 or almost 6 to now 7. So it picked up a percentage of slippage, which kind of makes sense. It is loading hard. It's throwing all the load it's got at it, and that was right before the rev limiter, so it wasn't done accelerating. So it's really driving hard through there. So we will go cool the transmission down again, because I want to get everything consistent. We'll cool the engine, cool the transmission back down into that 100 range, just like I would normally, and we'll make another pull. But like I said, you can really see where it does that. It comes right up on the rev limiter, flattens out. Once it does that, makes the boost all angry, of course, which is the way it should be. And then you have, let's see where our EGTs. So all our EGTs are still looking good. 7 cooled down, but I bet you that is blown out of the pocket a little bit. One of the EGTs is loose, so I'm not worried about that. My O2 is looking really good. Corrections are really nice. Still 1%, 2%, 3%, 4 or 5. Yep, 5% most. Okay, so we'll come back in here and let's hit this thing. So I'll just turn the rev limiter up and let her eat the same way, but let's cool everything down. Update on Pearl. Thank you, all you guys. We found the exact car at Rossi Auto Salvage in King of Prussia, Pennsylvania. Weird name, but King of Prussia, Pennsylvania. It's over by Philadelphia. So if there's anybody that could do me a favor, just like Craig Miles, the original guy that found this car for me, just randomly out of the blue emailed me, says, hey, look at this, I found this on Craigslist. Never talked to him before in my life that I know of. And so I go, oh wow, that's cool. He ended up going down buying the thing for me because it was only $600. Bought it for me, took it over to his house, waited till I got down there at sick week, and I super appreciate it. Thanks, Craig Miles. So if somebody could do me a favor, I'm more than happy to buy or pay for everything, because I want to get all the molding that has a clean, nice molding on this car, and not this car, but the car in at King of Prussia at Rossi Auto Salvage. So if somebody could go down there and pick that up for me, you would be #1 fan. So let me know. Don't just put it in a comment if you could. If you could go over and pick that stuff up for me. Obviously, I'm going to pay for it, have it all set out for you and waiting. And then somehow we get connected, or if I can get you to package it up, because for some reason they don't want to ship it. They don't want to take everything off and ship it to me. So they want me to come get it. So somebody needs to go get it, and I can even have it a crate sent to you and picked up, or however we want to do it, or me, or do whatever. So if you do that, send me an email. Don't just put it in the comments. Steve@SteveMorrisEngines.com. I appreciate everybody. Pearl's getting super close. pretty happy with that. And actually, I pulled out of it just a tick short. I probably actually should have just let it hit the rev limiter, but I pulled out of it a little short, and that's why it laid over just a tick up there. Because I think it still would have carried out here at 9,500 RPM. Probably would have made pretty close to. I would have made 3,900 horsepower. And then, so you guys probably think, oh man, just keep on turning it up, make 4,000 horsepower. I could. I don't know, I'll think about it. All right, check that. Louis DeLeon from Fuel Tech would never forgive me if I didn't try to make 4,000 horsepower. When I was there, and if you ever watched that video when we had this car on the dyno at Fuel Tech, Louis is like, it's like a little eager kid. It's like, yeah, turn it up, yeah, add more boost, yeah. He's like super eager. Of course, he doesn't have to fix it if anything happens. But he's like, oh, let's put 70 at it, yeah. Well, it broke the transmission on their dyno, so we never had to do it, and he never had to tell him no, I wouldn't do it. So, anyways, turned it up. We're gonna try to make 4,000 horsepower. But for right now, let's look at the numbers. That would be that little tune-up right there. We'll look at with a data logger here and see where it is for boost and everything. That is probably more boost. That would be more power than this thing's ever had going down the track yet. So I kind of like to run it right there. I mean, we can always, people are right, dyno numbers really don't mean anything. All I'm really doing is just pre-testing this converter so we can get some good information on it. You can hear it's accelerating pretty fast up through there, so the dyno isn't really loading it as much as it could. It's not slowing it down to the rate it's supposed to, so it's driving through it. So just continuing to add more and more horsepower is really just going to accent that problem. So yeah, I pulled back. It was 9,200 RPM. So 9,200 RPM on that pull right there, and that was at 48. It's spiked up right there at 48. Yeah, 48, 49 pounds of boost. So almost 50. So that would be definitely very close to where we're. Well, that is more boost than we've ever run in this combination before. So 50 pounds of boost is where I want to be at. Yeah, 50 pounds of boost is where I really want to be at for like the entry level deal. Entry level meaning I'm working on this whole base tune-up that just goes down track and goes everywhere, does anything. If I want this car to go 630s, 640s, anywhere. No prep, all prep, radial prep, I don't give a crap what prep, any kind of prep, go 630s, 640s all the time. I think that right there is a tune-up that would do that, plus probably be a little closer to 620s, 630s in a quarter mile. And so that's pretty good, so I'm happy right there, and that's a nice, easy, safe spot, and horsepower, no big deal. The engine really doesn't care if it's got 50 pounds of boost in it or not, doesn't give a crap. Because this thing will easily make 70,000 or 70 psi. Let me show you something else that's a little interesting. So my EGTs all look good. It is blowing the EGT is loose on my number 7. It had pushed it up, and looks like it pushed it up on this one too. So it all starts out the same, and then all of a sudden it starts going a little bit colder. So that's no big deal. Everybody's looking the same here. 971, 1,000, 10, 60. And these are all within 50. That one's maybe 50 degrees hot, and that's at number 7, which is a little cold, but I'll guarantee you that it's pushed up. It's a little hard to see in there, but it's pushed up because the ferrule's not tight. No big deal there. Tune-up looks great. Yep. Okay, less than still in that 1.56 correction factor right there. Sorry if my finger's blocking it. 48.9. So almost. It's just a little spike right there, but pretty much in that 40. Yeah, that whole range right there is 47, 48 and a half, something like that. We'll call it 50. Good enough. Let's see. So that looks good. And let's see, where is my converter at? 105, 104, 104.7. So about 4.5% slippage. That's pretty good. So I'm gonna give all that information to Marty, and I think the next step is to test it at the track, just like it is. Everything's looking good. We got another 20 plus pounds of boost to go. Oh, I was gonna show you turbo speed, because we do measure turbo speed. So here is our turbo speed. Turbo speed was 79,000 RPM, almost 80. 79,951, 79,469. So almost 80,000 RPM turbo speed. And from what they tell me, that's nothing. So I don't know what the max speed on that is. I'm waiting for Roger to call me back. Roger at Hearts Turbo. Give me a call back and let me know some of that turbo info. But right there, that thing is pretty freaking sweet. I know that there's a lot more left to go. You can hear this dyno just is not going to load it any harder, and it ran up and hit the rev limiter. So that's rev limiter at 9,500, and that's why it lays over up there, because she's still climbing. Yeah, it is what it is. That is 4,200 horsepower at the wheel. Okay, let's look at data. See how many pounds of boost that was. It's probably 50. Oh, probably was pretty close to 50. Well, it was probably pretty close to 60, to tell you the truth. 50. Yeah, probably pretty close to 60. And like I said, that's where it just starts sweeping so fast through there, and then it hits the rev limiter. But if it was, yeah, I mean, if it would have maintained out there, yeah, I mean, it was on its way to shoot. It was on its way to 4,500 horsepower, but if I could just extrapolate it out, and it is what it is. So let's go here. Let's look at. We'll download the log. 4,200 horsepower. 2,000. What did it make? Make 2,000. The torque. Oh, I got the torque off there. Hold on. 2,961 foot-pounds of torque. Alrighty, that was at. Yeah, it did just tickle up the rev limiter up there at the very end. Oh no, that's pretty good. That's 55 pounds of boost. 55 pounds of boost. 4,200 horsepower. Bad mother trucker. So anyways, it's time to go test now. Now I'm happy. We're all done. Lewis, you'd be so pleased with me. And now he's saying, right now, if you're watching this video, I know you're saying, turn it up and make 45. You're listening to dyno. We're not doing that. We're all done. Yes, and real quick, I'm going to show you how I convert this to pump gas, and then I'm just going to load it and just going to do like some 50, 70 mile an hour test, or tuning. I know Fuel Tech actually made a pull on 93 octane fuel on Ned Dunphy's car, and 3 pounds of boost, 93 octane. It made 1,000 something, 1,011, or maybe it's 1,100 something at the hubs, at 3 pounds of boost. SMX engine, obviously. So anyways, I'm gonna put this on the pump gas. I'll show you how that all works, and then it's a pretty simple thing of I literally show you here. Number 2 button is lit up because that's my dyno tune. I'll change that. Number 3 is my race tune. Number 1 is my street tune. So I literally push that button, make a couple changes in the fuel lines up front, driving. So we'll work on that little pump gas tune. I'll show you how that works. Alright, now, outside of me using the improper tool for the job because I'm too lazy to walk over and get my Allen wrench, take the drive spud out of the mechanical fuel pump. I hook up, disconnect the race line pump and everything here. Hook up my back fuel cell tank. Back here in the back of the car is my drive fuel cell right here. So this is the pump gas fuel cell in the back of the car. All self-contained, just has one line, bypasses all back here. That's it. Sometimes we might change the spark plug to a hotter plug if we're doing a bunch of cruising. But this will be, I'm gonna start it up, run, like I said, just think around on my pump gas tune. And just push the button for a tune, start it up, do a little bit of tune work, and this thing's ready to make 4,200 horsepower and then drive on a cruise to the local car show. That's pretty cool. Alright, man, we are all done. This thing's running awesome. Super happy with it. Like, subscribe, do all that normal stuff, buy some merch. See you somewhere. I'm Steve Morris. Have a great day.